consolidate, we harmonize, but our rule still stands of 45 days. So, Honorable Minister, Committee Chair and team, ensure that you expeditiously continue on this activity. Next item.
Item number 3.
On which point, Honorable Sarah? You see, I need to know the point before I allow you to access the microphone. I've not had any communication, Honorable Sarah. Colleagues, I beg your indulgence. You can see, colleagues, you can see, I had a lot of issues which I would have communicated, but I've told you the reason. We do have a lot of business which is pending, and we are about to go for recess. We need to clear this business. So I beseech you, let's cooperate so that we focus on the business that is substantive on the order paper. Okay? So next item.
Item number 3.
Under which rule procedure? Under which rule?
Mr. Speaker, there was a demonstration yesterday in Busia Market.
Under which rule?
Concerning the value addition factory, Mr. Speaker. But let me build the foundation, Mr. Speaker, then give the rule, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
No. Honorable colleague, please. Let's have an orderly house, please. I request you. But on Thursday, I'll give you an opportunity. You raise all these issues. Many came, and this is what I started with. Yes. Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, this relates to the bill that has been laid for the first reading. We have had ministers here laying air. So the procedural issue I am raising is whether we have ascertained that actually that certificate of financial implication is a certificate of financial implication. Because we have had here ministers laying air. Someone claims I am laying when they are laying nothing.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable, I want to reassure you that the certificate is genuine. They had first bring it to my office to verify. I can pass it on, a copy, for your satisfaction. You can give a member, but you're not a sergeant at arms. Please, and you return my copy. Yes, Honorable Sarah, you had the procedure matter?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you will excuse me. You returned from Maputo, and as soon as you returned, you lost your brother-in-law. You were not in the house. I just wanted to use this opportunity, Right Honorable Speaker, to welcome you back from Maputo and thank you for representing Uganda and Africans and our African values, Right Honorable Speaker. You actually performed very well, and we want to appreciate you for representing us effectively. You are actually being discussed all over the globe. The video, that video is where you spoke, has gone viral. And Right Honorable Speaker, I request that you will allow us then on Thursday to formally move a motion to thank you for the work that you performed while in Maputo representing this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sarah. To begin with, I'm uncomfortable presiding over motions where I'm being thanked personally. So I'm uncomfortable with that because I can't judge my own case. But number 2, I want to appreciate you and colleagues who supported us in this. A report is being prepared. I think it's now ready. We are going to get time where we shall present it on the floor. Colleagues, on those issues, I request you, wherever you represent us internationally, be on the lookout. A lot of issues are being passed under the carpet and they are attributed to us. So be on the lookout, and we shall continue defending our country and our values as a country. The final one?
Proceed under Article 2 of the Constitution. This is a supreme law.
No, please.
Even the rules are under the Constitution.
Please. That's not how we work here.
So,
Okay?
so
The-
Right
the,
Honorable
the rules of procedure are for our own, you know, our own conduct. Otherwise, you will go into funeral associations, someone invokes meetings of funeral associations. Also, the constitution can be applied there. So, Honorable, your procedure matter?
So much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, under Article 2, it talks about the supremacy of the Constitution. And after I was elected, I took an oath to defend and protect the Constitution. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of the bills, we have passed here a number of bills following the rules of procedure and following this, the Constitution as mandates this Parliament. But the assenting authority has gone ahead to violate the Constitution, which I took oath to protect. Right Honorable Speaker, it is very clear under Article 91, sub-Article 7, where you are mandated in your capacity to cause delay of the bill that has pended, and the President has not reacted by assenting. And we have passed a number of bills since February. Up to now, we are still tabling more and more. When shall we continue with the tendency of violating the Constitution, which we took to protect? I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable colleague. We know all the bills that have been passed. We know the bills the President has assented to, and we know the bills he has not yet assented to. As far as we are concerned as presiding officers who communicate to the President on these matters, he has not yet violated any law, because the bills we have sent and any ones which are about to be expired in terms of assent, we get in touch with him and he takes the necessary action. Next item.
Item number 3. Statement by Minister on commemoration of the International Anti-Corruption Day, 9th December 2022.
Next item, clerk. You haven't called the next item? Oh, you called? Okay, Honorable Minister for Ethics and Integrity. 10 minutes.
Put on my mask. I can put on. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Ministry of Ethics and Integrity, I want to join my sister to thank you so much for representing us in Maputo and for remaining firm. And I appeal to all the members that when we get out there, let's talk for it. Let's not shy out, because even here in our country, let's talk and let's champion it. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for that. Right Honorable Speaker, the statement I'm going to read is about the commemoration of the International Anti-Corruption Day, 9th December 2022. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, in 2003, the United Nations General Assembly made a resolution designating 9th December as International Anti-Corruption Day for global observance to promote awareness about corruption, its dangers, and how to prevent and combat it. Since then, the anti-corruption agencies in Uganda, together with their stakeholders, commemorate the day annually. This is done through a series of activities to increase public awareness about the evils of corruption and promote public participation in the fight against corruption. Right Honorable Speaker and members, before I inform you about the Anti-Corruption Day, it is essential for me to give you the key achievements of the anti-corruption agencies since July 2020, especially with regard to recovery of public funds. The Inspectorate of Government investigated 26 high-profile cases and directed the recovery of Uganda shillings 18.2 billion from public officers who misused public funds. Uganda shillings 7.2 billion has so far been recovered and paid into the Inspectorate Asset Recovery Account. The Office of the Auditor General carried out 6,763 financial compliance audits, 23 value for money audits, 101 specialized engineering audits, 85 forensic special audits, and 9 IT audits over the last 3 financial years. Though these audits, loss of funds was averted and the amount of money recovered was Uganda shillings 175 billion. In addition, assets and cash amounting to Uganda shillings 4 billion was recovered during the audit. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions prosecuted 261 corruption cases, of which 168 were concluded, and 110 of them resulted in convictions, which represents a success rate of 82%. Resulting from the DPP's prosecutions, government recovered 10 billion and 10 billion Uganda shillings, US dollars 16,000, as well as a malaria drugs valued at Uganda shillings 28 million. The Criminal Investigation Directorate of the Uganda Police Force registered a total of 318 cases, of which 56 were submitted to DPP and 23 were sanctioned for prosecution. Through prosecutions, a total of Uganda shillings 615 million has been recovered. State House Anti-Corruption Unit recovered a total of amount of 41.6 billion, of which 8.6 billion was from inflated COVID-19 relief food prices. Uganda shillings 4.5 billion from local governments. Uganda shillings 3.6 billion from inflated compensation of Bukasa inland port affected persons. Uganda shillings 2.9 billion worth of drugs which had been stolen from joint medical stores were recovered. State House Health Monitoring Unit has comprehensively monitored hospitals and health centers in 16 districts, and their findings are shocking. In Intungamo district, they discovered 33 ghost primary health centers, employing a total of 483 staff. The money that was paid out to these ghosts in terms of salaries and allowances amounted to Uganda shillings 480 million shillings. This matter is still being investigated and responses are awaited. In Nasana, Wakiso district, they registered a suspect and recovered essential medicines worth 1.5 billion. The suspect was charged with theft and impersonation. In Bugiri Hospital, a water pump valued at Uganda shillings 14 million, which had been stolen, was recovered and handed back to the hospital administration. In Mulago National Referral Hospital, investigations are ongoing into financial and human resource mismanagement. A report from the Auditor General reveals a loss of over 20 billion shillings. In Kampala, an individual masquerading as a medical doctor was arrested together with 4 nurses after they injected water disguised as COVID-19 vaccine in over 500 staff of banks, companies, and factories. The matter is before Nakawa Court. Financial Intelligence Authority received 3,627 suspicious transaction reports, out of which 186 reports relating to money laundering, corruption, fraud, and terrorism financing were sent to the law enforcement agencies for further action. 9 intelligence reports related to corruption were sent to the Inspectorate of Government, and their successful prosecution will lead to the possible recovery of Uganda shillings 6.4 billion. The Leadership Court Tribunal has concluded 10 cases through alternative dispute resolution and imposed fines totaling to Uganda shillings 10.9 million on the respondents, out of which Uganda shillings 5.9 million has been paid to the consolidated fund. The Directorate for Ethics and Integrity spearheaded amendment of the Leadership Code Act in 2021 to require all public officers to declare their income, assets, and liabilities to the IGG. And as a minister, I made regulations prescribing the declaration form. They coordinates implementation of the zero tolerance to corruption policy and has established integrity focal persons in all MDAs, whose role is to sensitize fellow staff on the values of integrity and corruption prevention measures. They coordinate the partnership with religious and faith organizations, civil society organizations, development partners, the private sector, and media institutions, which is the new strategy to fight corruption. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the theme for this year's anti-corruption campaign is Citizens Must Own Their War. To eliminate corruption, it is their war. The objective is to make the war against corruption a people's war rather than a government war. In this campaign, the masses are being empowered through mass mobilization, education, and empowerment to take ownership of this war and fight it by demanding for better service delivery from duty bearers. The anti-corruption campaign runs for the whole of this financial year, and a number of activities have been and are still being undertaken. Africa Anti-Corruption Day, some of the activities. Africa Anti-Corruption Day, 11th July 2022, was commemorated with a national conference at Imperial Royal Kampala and attended by ambassadors from African countries, anti-corruption agencies, and non-state actors. National Interdenominational Prayers Against Corruption was organized on Friday, the 29th July 2022 at Kololo Independence Grounds. The chief guest was Her Excellency the Vice President, retired Major Honorable Jessica Lupo Epel. She officially launched the last Friday of July as the annual National Interdenominational Prayer Day Against Corruption, and officially launched the Anti-Corruption Campaign 2022-2023. The National Schools Anti-Corruption Challenge is being conducted in coordination with the National Debate Council to engage the youth in anti-corruption initiatives. The activity has already commenced at regional level. The grand final will take place in Parliament, where the students hold a debate with members of Parliament on the cause and effect of corruption in Uganda. Since the school term has ended, the grand final will be held in May 2023. Anti-corruption drives caravans will be conducted in district local governments to facilitate engagement with the citizens. The activities for the drives include community meetings and spot checks on service delivery. During the drives, service delivery clinics will be conducted where citizens' complaints will be received and where possible resolved on site. Those that cannot be resolved on site will be handled and a feedback given to the complainants. Media engagements are being conducted by the anti-corruption agencies to ensure effective communication to the citizens. The media engagements include dissemination of short anti-corruption videos, press briefings, radio and TV talk shows, and social media engagements. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, International Anti-Corruption Day will be commemorated on Friday, 9th December 2022 in Ibanda district. The reason why Ibanda was chosen to host the commemoration was because in the 2021 performance appraisal, it was rated the best performing local government in service delivery. The activities in Ibanda district will commence on Thursday, 8th December 2022, with anti-corruption football and netball matches at Kagongo Primary School playground. On International Anti-Corruption Day, 9th December 2022, the activities will begin with a procession through Ibanda town. Thereafter, a rally will be held at Ibanda Integrated Primary School grounds, where an exhibition will also be held by the anti-corruption agencies, local governments, and non-state actors. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, was invited as the chief guest, but due to earlier scheduled engagements, as delegated Honorable Norbert Mao, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, to preside over the commemoration. The expected outcome of the anti-corruption campaign
Order, colleagues. Let's listen to the minister.
The expected outcome of the anti-corruption campaign is improved citizen participation in anti-corruption initiatives, improved transparency and accountability in the delivery of public services, and improved service delivery. Right Honorable Speaker, the estimated cost of anti-corruption campaign is Uganda shillings 1.909 billion. The budget for this commemoration of International Anti-Corruption Day is Uganda shillings 442 million, which has been provided by the government of Uganda to the Inspectorate of Government. Danida has provided 150 million Uganda shillings to the IG to support the campaign activities. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the major challenge faced by the anti-corruption agencies is inadequate funding, which forces them to forego some of their planned activities. My prayer is for government to increase the funding of the anti-corruption agencies so that they can effectively fight this vice, because the corrupt are richer than the agencies. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, it is my honor and privilege to invite you, the members of this House, to the commemoration of the International Anti-Corruption Day at Ibanda Integrated Primary School in Ibanda District on Friday, the 9th December 2022, beginning at 9:30 a.m. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, you've given us very, very important and detailed information. My only concern is among the institutions fighting corruption, you've not listed Parliament. The committees of Parliament, the money we've managed to recover, COSASE, Park, Central, Park, local government, trade, and all these committees is much, much more than the money you've mentioned here. And the money we've been able to block, that would have gone into corruption. So Parliament is your partner. Next time, please consider us. Number two, also in relation to the same, Parliament has given you all the necessary legislation. I had expected you to appreciate these honorable colleagues that passed 7 bills in 1 week that mainly focused on to define the issue of beneficial ownership, which is the biggest benchmark for hiding corruption anywhere in the world. So, Honorable Minister, yes, next time, remember Parliament is your partner.
Right Honorable Speaker, the members, the agencies which are fighting corruption in this country are very many, and Parliament is one of them. So we just had to get a few. Actually, we're about 23. My apologies.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, my apologies.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, this being a very important issue, I will give you 30 minutes to look at it. And I'm starting with, yes, because I was going to call the shadow minister. So if Rob can do that.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Rob, how many minutes?
No, I just want to offer information to the House and with the indulgence that the opposition will have their right of reply tomorrow with your permission. The members debate the minister's statement, and we shall offer our opposition statement on the anti-corruption campaign.
Yeah, then, Lop, the angle you're taking me on would be that we debate the debate tomorrow, because we have the debate tomorrow, so that your statement, your reply, can contribute to the debate, can guide us in the debate. Honorable colleagues, with that, let's have debate on this tomorrow. I'll give it a debate of 30 minutes. Okay?
Right, Speaker, I want to thank you very much. And I want to thank the minister. You are really corruption free. because this is the first report bringing even the money we're going to spend on the function. But I don't know, Speaker, my guidance I'm seeking from you, in her statement, she has mentioned State House Anti-Corruption Unit, which is not a legal instrument coming from Parliament. We don't have any report coming from what that department or unit does as Parliament. So my guidance I'm seeking, whether the minister would be fair enough to provide some information or any reports they have that are not under Parliament, yet they are using taxpayers' money to cut those activities. So that if we get them, they can be tabled and we use them as our energizers to debate the statement was done from the opposition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, Honorable, we are not able to do that now. Let those be issues for debate. No, I'm responding to Honorable Seungu. Let those be issues for debate tomorrow, and then we can pick out very important aspects of the debate. We incorporate them into the business of the sector committees, and they end up coming here. Right enough, Honorable Seungu, you're vice chair of one of the accountability committees. Honorable Seungu, procedure.
Mr. Speaker, Rule 52 gives us an opportunity to debate this statement at least for 1 hour. I want to persuade you, Mr. Speaker, and the House to allow us to have the debate. The statement by the Shadow Minister maybe can conclude it, but the appetite that I have today to debate this matter and because, Mr. Speaker, I looked at
colleagues, let's listen to one another. Yes.
I looked at the order paper before I left home, and part of the reason I am here is because of this statement on corruption. Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade you to allow a debate today. The response can come tomorrow because the rules speak about the statement, not the response.
Thank you. Thank you. You see, Honorable Semuji, number 1, Rule 52, which you've referred to, sub-rule 2, says we may. So it's at the discretion of the presiding officer, depending on the business I have for the day. So by the fact that I've allowed the debate, okay, and number 2, the unfortunate bit, I have no way of preserving your appetite until tomorrow. The rules don't provide me with that capacity, but I expect you to be here tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll be here. So since this was requested by the leader of government or of opposition, whom I believe that consults with the whips and the colleagues, let's allow, because you see, they are going to raise very important issues which would be embedded in a debate. And we have a balanced House. Instead of having a debate today, tomorrow law presents a statement, a reply, we again debate, you know, so let's have the debate tomorrow. Capture it and put it on order paper tomorrow. Next item.
Item number 4, laying of papers. Item 4.1.
Minister for Finance.
Right Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Section 61(1)(b) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended, I beg to lay on table the annual report on inflows, outflows, and assets of the Petroleum Fund for the period ended 30th June 2022. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. In line with the Section 18, yes, of the Public Finance Management Act and Rule 173 of our Rules of Procedure, I refer it to the Committee on Budget. Clerk for Roman 2. For Roman 2. Procedure, Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it's not procedure actually, it's guidance. We used to refer this report to the Committee on Finance, Planning and Economic Development. I'd like to seek your guidance whether the rules change.
You see, every member belongs to any committee, but Honourable Minister, I appreciate your guidance. So allow me to consult the rules quickly. I see, yeah, because even committee on budget can handle, but if the practice has been committee on finance, me make it very easy so that I refer it to the committee on finance. Okay?
Item 4.2.
They are all committees of this house.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move under Section 53 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 to lay on table the report, the Treasury Memorandum on the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, on the report of the Auditor General on public universities for the financial year ended 30th June 2020. I beg to lay.
Thank you. As per Section 13 of the National Audit Act, I refer it to the committee, I refer it to the Auditor General, who will process it, do the audit again, and then refer it back to this house. Next.
Item 4.3.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move under Section 53 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and lay on table the Treasury Memorandum on the report of the Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities, and State Enterprises on the two special audit reports on the operations of the departed Asian Property Custodian Board. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Referred to the Auditor General as per Section 13 of the National Audit Act. And the Auditor General will be reporting back to this house. Next item.
Item number 5, presentation of reports of parliamentary delegations abroad.
Lead of delegation. Clerk, maybe if you could read the whole item. Report of the Uganda Parliamentary Delegation.
Report of the Uganda Parliamentary Delegation to the 78th session of the Executive Committee and the 44th Conference of Presidents of National Parliamentary Assemblies of African Parliamentary Union, held on 5th to 10th November 2022, Victoria Falls, Republic of Zimbabwe.
Yes, lead of delegation or representative.
Honorable Speaker, I was part of this delegation, but the lead of delegation had reported to your office, and according to the communications, it was a matter to be presented to me.
Please, I grant that. Next item.
Item number 6, presentation of action taken reports on resolutions of the 11th Parliament in line with Rule 220 of the Rules of Procedure. Ministry of Works and Transport.
Honourable Minister. Next Minister. Next.
Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries.
Honourable Minister.
Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
Honourable Minister of Finance. Right Honourable Prime Minister, before the Minister of Finance comes, just Honourable Minister of Finance, just 1 minute. Thank you. Right Honourable Prime Minister, we made this order paper and agreed with the government side on how you'll be presenting your reports. And I haven't received any regrets from any of these ministers. I met with the Prime Minister. I met with the government chief whip. I was never given any single indication that none of that Minister for Works, Minister for Fisheries, Agriculture, they want to be here. What's the problem? Can you clarify to the House why they are not here?
All right, Honorable Speaker, we are expecting these ministers to be coming. Maybe they are held up somewhere, but we expect them to be in the House.
Order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
But right, Honorable Speaker, I request
Order, Mr. Speaker.
that let the ministries.
Order. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with all the respect given to this August House, Mr. Speaker, whereas you as custodians of this House and we as members of Parliament, we take a lot of time working together with the executive to make sure that the deliberations of this House run smoothly very well. Whereas at the same time we are hearing in the corridors that some of the ministers in this country call this a classroom and call you a class monitor. I therefore don't know whether the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Prime Minister in the House, is intentionally trying to bias this House that the ministers are still having lunch in the canteen, which is on the third floor of Parliament, than them dodging to come and give submissions overflow.
Thank you.
I don't know whether the Prime Minister is in order, but
thank you.
Mr. Speaker, she looks panicky as if there's something wrong with her. I therefore don't know whether she's in order.
Thank you. Yeah, Honorable colleague, the Prime Minister looks as confident as ever. But again, you've made it difficult for me to roll. Because I was listening to the Prime Minister properly. She never said they are in the canteen having lunch. Huh? Now, when you refer, Right Honorable Prime Minister, you see, colleagues say, but we are here, we are ready to present. There is an order. There is an order we create. So if I'm to jump an item, it means I have to go back. You know, this Hansard captures items, captures submissions, basing on the order provided for on the order paper. So whenever you feel your ministers are not around and they're on the order paper, I just need a communication. We've even allowed communication by WhatsApp, just the WhatsApp, even when you're delaying. You know, and I note it as a presiding officer. I say, oh, yeah. So, but colleagues, let's not dwell on this much. Let's not dwell on this much. Let's, Minister for Finance is here. Yes, sir. On what point, what's the procedure
Mr.
matter?
Speaker, the order paper that you supplied us has the First Minister Works and Transport. The second is Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. And we've received no explanation. What has happened to these ministers? See, this country is facing insecurity. So can we be told? Of course, I understand. And I am one of those who are extremely excited when you became a speaker. Because working with a cabinet that is incompetent can actually be a nightmare. But can we know what has happened to these two ministers?
Thank you. Colleagues. Just always give Semujo his respect in finding a wolf, you know? Yes, but number one, it's very, very wrong to come here and we insinuate that any of the colleagues is incompetent. These are colleagues, members of parliament. These are ministers, you know, who have moved the government business and the country is moving. So I think it would be unkind, honorable colleague, to declare your colleagues incompetent. Yeah, it's
Mr. Speaker, I am sorry if it has angered them. I only said so to encourage them to be more competent, but I am sorry.
So, Honorable Minister for Finance.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm presenting the actions taken on the resolutions of Parliament relating to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. The Ministry would like to present a report on the actions taken in line with the resolutions of Parliament for the period May 2021 to May 2022, based on the communication that we received. The first resolution, the resolution of Parliament to urge government to reverse the directive requiring local governments to remit all local revenues to the consolidated fund. And this is the response, Right Honorable Speaker. Section 31 of the PFMA requires that all revenues or other money raised or received for the purpose of the government shall be paid into and shall form part of the consolidated fund, except the revenue specified in section 29(2)(b) and 29(3). In accordance with Regulation 10 of the PFMR 2016, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development issued the second budget call circular for financial year 2020-21, in which local government accounting officers were directed to remit all local revenue collections to the consolidated fund. Under this arrangement, local governments prepare and submit their local revenue estimates as part of the total local government budget estimates for a given financial year. The respective local government budgets are then consolidated and submitted to Parliament for appropriation. This process is premised on the principle of transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the management of all revenues and expenditures for effective service delivery. Local revenue performance. Following issuance of the PFMA Regulation 2016, the local revenue remittance reform started with 43 local governments in financial year 2017-2018. With additional capacity building, this PFM reform increased to a coverage of 102 local governments in financial year 2018-19, and later to 175 local governments in financial year 2019-2020. As a result, there has been improved revenue performance ever since the ministry implemented Section 31 of the PFMA. It's illustrated in the table below. The local governments have been realizing substantially higher revenue ever since they started remitting to the consolidated fund. And the evidence is in the table below. In financial year 2017-2018, for example, the number of votes remitting to the treasury were 43. They had a revised budget of 47.9 billion shillings. Funds remitted to the consolidated fund, they remitted against that budget 11.5 billion shillings. Percentage of the remittance to the budget was 24%. In financial year 2018-19, the number of votes remitting to the treasury from the local government were 102, and they had a revised budget of 193.5 billion. And the funds remitted to the consolidated fund were 60.7 billion shillings, which is 31%. In financial year 2019-2020, the number of votes remitting to the treasury increased to 175, with a budget of 201.1 billion shillings, and they remitted to the consolidated fund 69.9 billion shillings. And that percentage in terms of remittance to the budget is 27%. In 2020-21, again, 175 votes remitted to the Treasury, and the budget was 217.3 billion. Then the remittance to the consolidated fund amounted to 104.1 billion shillings, 48% in terms of the amount remitted to the budget. So we see an increase. Now in financial year 2021-2022, the number of votes were 176.
Honourable Minister, point of procedure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, the resolution that we are processing is quite clear. It is that Parliament urges government to reverse the directive by the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, requiring local governments to remit all revenues to the Consolidated Fund. I'm finding it extremely difficult. I've been very impatient the direction the minister is taking. He can simply come to us and say we have reversed or we have not reversed, other than wasting time and meandering around. Are we really proceeding right?
Thank you. I think what the minister is giving you are details. Maybe if you don't appreciate the details, if you say we would want a summary form, maybe, Honourable Minister, what I can say is, since you submitted these documents much earlier, just summarize, just you go on the implications of the reversal, which shows why you've not reversed, the reason for not reversing, and we conclude. Okay? On page 111, if we go on implications, which would be showing why you have not reversed.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the guidance. I'm therefore going to skip a number of paragraphs, and I will go to the implications of the reversal of the policy. This decision will have far-reaching effects on existing Treasury single account, payment processing, and reporting systems. The local revenues and expenditures would be extra budgetary. They would be outside the Treasury single account. Government will be reverting to the previous position where no reliable information on local revenue sources was available, negatively impacting planning and budgeting at the national level. Number 3, in order to implement the parliamentary resolution, Section 29 and other sections of the PFMA would have to be amended to specifically allow local governments not to remit local revenues to the consolidated fund and spend the funds at source. Conclusion. The resolution of Parliament urging the government to reverse the directive requiring local governments to remit all local revenues to the consolidated fund may have been reached based on incomplete information or based on the local government revenue business process as it was prior to financial year 2020 and 2022. Government having recognized...
Point of order. Oh, I allowed point of order. Oh, okay. One of this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm raising on the point of order upon a statement that have just been put forward by the Honorable Minister over the fact that the decision which was taken by Parliament on the matters of local raised revenue could have been based on non-factual, yet it was a very long debate. By then, the late Speaker, Honorable Jacob Olanya, may he rest in peace, really even asked the minister by then that is there any problem you are finding in this resolution? Because we looked at the law one by one, and the minister by then also confessed that we are having an anomaly. Then, Forum, is it in order now for the minister to issue a statement here that the debate by that time, the decision was taken, and even without any complete processes, is in order, Right Honorable Speaker?
Thank you. Honorable Minister, decisions we make here as a House are decisions we scrutinize deeply. The moment we send out a message to the public that we make decisions either on incomplete or half-baked information, you know, that's an indictment on this House that we are always panicking. And this is the motion that was supported. I remember I was the government chief whip at that time. This is the motion on which I also ended up supporting, even when it was moved by an opposition member, Honorable Narima, from Wakiso. So, Honorable, you are out of order for imputing on Parliament that we make decisions based, you know, based on half information. So, Honorable Minister, please withdraw that statement, and you can get a better way. If there is any other new information you've managed to get since then that you did not provide to the House, you can lay it on table and you share.
Mr. Speaker, well, I had made that statement based on the new information which we had provided. But if it is that is found not to be in order, Right Honorable, I accept your ruling on the matter. Yeah. And the statement is withdrawn.
Thank you. So please,
may I be allowed to continue?
Clear the record. Yes, please continue.
Now, government having recognized the challenges and delays that local governments faced in accessing local revenues in financial year 2019-2020 and financial year 2020-21, and if having carried out the following reforms effective 1st July 2021. 1, reviewed the entire business process for accessing local government revenue. Number 2, we eliminated non-value adding processes to enable local governments access local government revenue funds. And number 3, immediate after completing the initiation, approval of local government revenue accounting warrants. The current local government revenue business processes should be allowed to operate, and its performance closely monitored during financial year 2022-23 before a decision on this matter can be taken.
It's a procedure matter.
Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable Jonathan Odu earlier raised the procedural issue and you give guidance, maybe the minister has a problem understanding the word action taken. Maybe. Which is the reason now he's reading the budget framework paper material, which he supplied and we already have. So the procedural issue I'm raising is where the minister is proceeding well by defying your guidance and then regurgitate budget framework material that was already supplied and we are waiting for a fresh one this month.
See, Honorable Minister, I think what members wanted was very simple. For you to go on the floor and say, Honorable members, as a minister, we are not able to implement your resolution, or we are able. And then you give reasons why you are not able. You can even use a more simpler language of, we are constrained. When you're constrained, it's not that you have refused, but the circumstances, you know, are not allowing you. So, Honorable Minister, in conclusion, are you going to implement the resolution as urged by the House or not?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I did mention that there are implications, and because of those implications, we are constrained. And I indicated the three implications. And one of them indicated there are legal issues. You may need to amend the law.
No, that is captured. You have
Yes.
put it on record.
So in view of that, it is difficult for us to proceed on this matter.
Procedure, what's that, you know?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I am finding a lot of difficulty appreciating the statements by the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Lugolobi. If this Parliament did make a resolution, we are under obligation to implement the resolution. Now, if there are constraints, as you state, Right, Honorable Speaker, wouldn't it be procedurally right for the minister to come back here on the floor and have the resolution reversed on account of operational or legal difficulty? Wouldn't it be procedurally correct? Otherwise, the resolution is there, and you are under duty, Rule 220, to give action points. Wouldn't it be procedurally right, Right, Honorable Speaker, to have the resolution rescinded?
Thank you. You see, the problem with Rule 220, and this is what I had raised the other day, so that maybe we can revise it. It does not even show us what to do with these reports. No, Rule 220 does not show us what to do with these reports. So, from the interpretation and general authority of the presiding officer. Then number two, colleagues, that's why I'm usually constrained on motions of urging. Of course, we are limited by Article 93, but you see, when you urge me, and I refuse to be urged, you have, emotion urges me, but I'm, so these are different resolutions. And most of the reason behind these resolutions, Honorable Minister, is youth see sense. Is youth see sense, and you see the arguments brought up by members. When you read the answer on this resolution, you could see if the member had not been constrained by the Constitution as a private member, you know, she would have passed, she would have moved the resolution, she would have moved the motion of a more biting kind of resolution. But we are constrained by the Constitution. Now, when we are constrained, we urge you to listen to the voices of the members. So what I would have expected to come out clear, I can see you've touched it a little bit. What I had expected to come out clear was address the concerns behind the motion. If you are constrained from implementing, address the concerns and show the member that we are going to address these concerns properly. Whereby the main concern on that motion was that local governments collect extra revenues. You don't allow them to utilize these extra revenues. When you allow, it comes in form of supplementaries that come in May. Now, you give them money. By the time they receive the money, the financial year is ending. Money goes back to the consolidated fund, and they are constrained. So those were the issues. I can see you have tried to touch them, but we can be explicit. Honorable Minister Musasizi, then we would stop all this.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it is true the concerns Parliament had at that time, and which Parliament still have up to now, is the constraint of local governments receiving money and utilizing money they have collected by themselves. Mr. Speaker, the idea of having all government revenues put together under a single treasury account is not disputable. What is disputable is if this money goes there, how quick do local governments receive them? Mr. Speaker, for the period we have been at the ministry, we found a problem. Some local governments were understating the budgets for local revenue. And once this happens and they collect more, in order for them to access this excess local revenue, they require a budget. And the supplementary budget has been coming late. What I want to commit before this House is that we can pursue the process of bringing supplementary budgets as and when they fall due, especially for local government revenue, local revenue, such that if I notice that in this quarter, for instance, we are in quarter 2, if I realize additional 2 billion on my local revenue collections, I be allowed a supplementary budget to be brought early January so that these local governments can access the money in February, rather than waiting when the financial year is about to end or another financial year has already started. Mr. Speaker, in the circumstances that we cannot amend the Public Finance Management Act now, in the circumstances that we cannot distort the Treasury single account now, what is within our means is to pursue the process of bringing. I accept clarification from Honorable Kanya. Even you, I will accept.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister. Honorable Minister, you are bringing light to this matter. But I want to seek clarification from you whether it is possible for you to introduce multi-year budgeting for local government so that you don't need to bring supplementary every quarter. Because if you bring supplementary now, in January, then they get money in February, that will create complication. The financial will end, then they will not implement most of the program. But if you introduce multi-year budgeting for the development component, then those aspects will be taken care of because the procurement for programs will be on, contract will be signed for multi-year, 2 years or 3 years. When they get the money, they just have a call on the Treasury. Don't you think that would be better based on your experience? Information.
No, you see, Honorable Minister, your time is okay. You can allow 2 members, maybe.
I had allowed Honorable Singoma.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for allowing me. The information I want to give you, Honorable Minister, regarding this matter is that the issue of local governments collecting and spending revenue from at source is anchored within the Constitution. It is a constitutional matter. It is enshrined within the Constitution. If you read the Constitution, you will find the particular section touching this matter. Article. Therefore, when you come and tell us that by virtue of the provisions of
Honorable
the PMA,
Singoma, would you allow Honorable Modoi to help you?
Yeah, Honorable Modoi, help, please. Get that article.
Just look at chapter 11 of the Constitution, Article 191. We are dealing with a constitutional matter. And I can read it very clearly here. Local governments shall have powers to levy, charge, collect, and appropriate fees and taxes in accordance with the enacted Parliament law. So when you read that chapter very well, we are dealing also with an issue which is broader. We agreed to follow the governance of decentralization. So I think what we are trying to do right now is just to abide by what the constitutional provision.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to invite colleagues to debate this matter with a view of moving forward. I was here in 2015 when we enacted the Public Finance Management Act, and I know what we included and why. But I wouldn't want to go into that direction. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Kanya,
and you refer to Article 192A, which gives Parliament powers to enact those laws. Now, these taxes, according to the article, can either be into the consolidated fund or spent at source.
Yes.
And the PFMA, which we enacted here, allowed going to the consolidated fund. And that's why the honorable member was very clear, urging reverse, whereby reversal would even including amendment of the PFMA. But I don't want us to go so much into legalities. The issue was operation of the local governments.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Yes, please, Lop.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the joint efforts of the ministers to hazard a response, which up to now has failed to pick traction of the members that supported this motion animus. Certainly they know it. The Honorable Musasi was here, and it was huge labor on his part. Two things. If the intention of the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Gorovi, was to offer information in the form of data to Parliament, he could even have labeled to give Parliament information on how those remittances have since changed. Because part of the debate is that when local governments remit, a single government remits $1 million, they receive 300,000 back. It's a fact. Two,
Lop,
yes.
Can I guide a little? Just, I know you have a response on this same issue, and I'm seeing members anxious to debate it. Can I allow your side to give a formal response to this issue so that we continue instead of coming back? Okay? Specifically on this resolution, if you are ready. Colleagues, just listen. What I'm saying is simple. That ROPE has a response to the action taken. Okay? And I'm seeing we are anxious to contribute on the matter.
Yeah, very much.
So, why don't we allow ROPE? He gives his side, that is the response to the action taken, and then we open it up for debate.
Yes.
Other than going back. Yes. So ROPE kind of do that. Procedure, Honorable Kefa?
I was under the impression that the minister was still presenting.
No, you have finished.
And I think there was some additional information that was giving on that, which I would be surprised if action taken is just on one point.
You see, Honorable Kefa, that's the advantage of being in my seat here. Yeah, I'm using my authority. And the minister has several resolutions. But there is one resolution, okay, that is making members anxious and all that. So I'm saying, since he has finished on that specific resolution, okay, then ROPE can respond to that specific resolution only. We conclude it, and then the minister resumes on other resolutions. Basically, procedure, Honorable Biku, Honorable Katesh is also procedure. Let me allow the four. Ababiku.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. The procedural guidance I'm seeking is for your indulgence based on the first guidance you gave, that the answers must be specific to the resolutions made by this House. Two, you guided that it should be linked to the operationalization. Therefore, in my thinking, Right Honorable Speaker, the ministers need to go back and respond based on your guidance so that we have specific answers to tackle all the challenges related to the motion which was approved to this House, than really proceeding to get responses from the other side in piecemeals. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
I seek for your guidance. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, what Honorable Jessica Babiko has brought indeed the concern we had. Honorable Minister, we can appreciate your constraint, okay? But where you say you are constrained, can you show us how you have addressed the issues, the concerns of members? And Honorable Msasizi came out to explain and give commitments. But Rule 220 says in detail, you bring it here in detail, proper and clear, not off cuff. So, Honorable Minister of Finance, please go back, polish it very well. The issues which, the commitments which Honorable Msasizi brought were very important. Capture them, reassure this House that you might not take this action, but you're going to address the concerns this way. And then we shall move very well. Okay?
Right, Honorable.
So now, let me allow Honorable Katesh, I conclude with you. Then
Thank you very
much. But because I've guided already.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. As you guided, Right Honorable Speaker, from the statement of the Minister, as he comes back, he needs to demonstrate that the measures he has indicated, because you indicated reviewed the entire business process, Honorable Minister needs to demonstrate that in this particular financial year, the processes they are talking about have been done and the local governments are not suffering the very causes that led us to do this resolution. Because, right, Speaker, those of us who represent the municipalities, our municipalities have garbage simply because money is not released on time, yet people pay taxes for those services. So we need the minister to demonstrate that having not implemented this resolution, they have put in place measures to deal with this problem. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, we have a challenge with the PFMA. In this financial year, there was some exchange between the ministry and the cows. The PFMA guides on the process of budgeting. We have seen the Ministry of Finance giving deadlines to the cows to submit budgets when this House has not completed the budgeting process. So what happens, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the councils in local governments sit and pass budgets when the process here has not ended. And when the budget finally is passed here, it does not reflect or is not consistent with what has been passed in the local governments. As a result, you have a lot of expectations down there, and there is no process that goes back to make the corrections. So I would like the ministry to think about the amendments that need to realign the PFMA, the Local Government Act, so that there is a seamless process in the budgeting process. I submit.
Thank you. But Honorable Kateshumba, local government budgets are part of the national budget approved by this parliament. So now, what local governments are given, please, local governments are given ceilings, they should go, they pass their budget, then it comes here for parliament to give its final pronouncement. Otherwise, if what local governments pass are indicative figures, they are not final figures. The final figures come here. In fact, my concern was simple. And the concern for my district is the reverse of yours. In my district, they have been calling for councils to pass budgets after Parliament has passed the national budget. So I asked, how can you do that? Huh? How can you do that? I remember we had raised it and we expected the minister to come and explain it. So really that one needs to be sorted out so that local government councils pass their budgets, they are consolidated into the national budget, which comes here and it is passed. It was Honorable
Yes, I said 4. You are 4. One of us, I want to share a microphone with the senator.
Right Honorable Speaker, I have great respect for my brother, the Honorable Musasizi, and I don't intend to crucify him on this matter. However, as a representative, he knows we owe the people a duty of performance and representation. Just like we do here in the August House, it's the same way the local councillors do owe their people at the local council level. The role of decentralization is to empower the lower units to live to the aspiration of their voters, and that they be a true reflection of what we are at national level, so that they can account to their people, reduce the burden from us, so that we don't become the center of all burden. Now, I'll give you an example. We appropriate monies for national constructions and development at a national level. They also do the same at local level. At the end of the day, you'll become the engineer for all roads in your constituency. Because when you go back, the councillor will say, honorable members and people of the society, or the people of our community, all powers are vested in the parliament. They are the ones that are appropriate. We send their budgets, they scrutinize them, and they see whether we weigh or do not weigh. I'll give you an example on what goes on in our capital city here. Every one of you can see potholes, but our hands are tied, and the council hands are tied, and they tell you all the money is vested in the consolidated fund, and for example in the first quarter we had no development budget. So potholes grew, they enlarged, they widened into gullies to include roads like Katwe. And at the end of the day, when you ask them, they tell you, Honorable Member of Parliament, what have we got to do? We don't control our monies anymore. Regardless of the fact that we make a lot of collections, there is nothing we can spend. Well, the powers are vested in this house. Can we come up with a formula in the future that if they can collect, let's say 80%, 100%, they can spend about 40 or 30% for what we call things that, you know, that arise without our influence. But if they cannot spend even 2%, then why are they there? And how are we helping decentralization grow? That is why recently, Right Honorable Speaker, you found that an office, I think was it in Shema or somewhere, the cow closed and left and went away. I'm sorry if it was not Shema, I don't want those people to become angry. But wherever it was, a council office was closed and everyone walked away. And the reason is they have no money to perform the duties. So micromanaging a country from a central point, 100 or 300 constituencies that we have, local councils, defeats the very same notion that we apply for of decentralization.
Information.
The Honorable colleague says I'm right. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, Rule 224 is within your powers. Since we discuss all these matters as Parliament, and we agree, including these honorable members of Parliament, ministers that swear before you, if they can, please inform me.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Msereko Muhammad, also loosely known as the landlord of Kampala, for giving way. The information that I would like to offer to him and to ourselves. One, the front bench. As you see, we also come from districts and local governments. We also want this money to be given to the districts. The Minister of Finance has reported back, and the dilemma is within the ambit of this Parliament to make the correction. The harmonization of Article 109 92 and the role of Parliament and Section 29. If there's a contradiction and the law is not working rightly in the interest of the people, it can only be right and proper that a proposal to amend is made. And this, we cannot lament about it. It's our duty as Parliament to do that. Thank you.
I take your information in good spirit, and Right Honorable Speaker, like you already guided without doubt
Honorable Mtsereko, conclude.
In your capability, that we have the powers to amend. And now we all realize from both sides, from either side, from every corner of this house, that there is a problem. And this problem impacts service delivery. And since it impacts service delivery, and that we can rectify it. Now, we are tired of urging you, sir. We would like as a house to remind you that if you don't do something where you are present, under our rules, the Speaker can invoke contempt under Rule 224. And I know you're not someone who can act in contempt of this house. You're highly respected. You're a very eloquent person. You're a very knowledgeable individual. And I have no doubt in your capabilities. We urge you that we sit and strike a balance to amend this law in order to improve our performance down there, and as a house we shall shine. I'll take your information. And
now, colleagues, please. Colleagues, Honourable Minister, just now, Honourable colleagues, you see, what Honourable both of us has raised, that's a medium-term solution. We want just the immediate, the short-term solution. And this is what we are talking about. That members had concerns, and Minister of Finance, Mr. Sisi, has come on the floor and has given reassurance on addressing the concerns that led to the tabling of the motion. But Rule 220 does not allow us to do it in an ad hoc manner. Okay? That's why we have said the minister on this specific resolution should go back and capture that commitment, give the short-term solutions as we look at amending the PFMA, like Honorable both of us has said, because we have restrictions under Article 93 of the Constitution. So, colleagues, Honorable you wanted, I had allowed you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mine was a procedural issue, and I will keep it to that. I know both the ministers who are here. They are fairly modest people. And that's where their stubbornness begins. See, this parliament now wants to believe that actually the reason they are doing is so because their hands are tied because of the law. And I see everybody believing. I have said they are modest people, but they are both of them stubborn. Mr. Speaker, we have an item on our order paper. Action taken, and there are a number 1, 2, 3, 4. The assumption was that each minister will come here and report. When you instruct someone to do something and he doesn't do so, you now either sanction. If you are powerless, you get angry, you go home and sleep. This parliament simply has no any other option of now creating a debate that we concluded. I was here and listened to the sentiments of everybody. There is nothing new that is being raised here that was not raised that time. I therefore want to persuade you, Mr. Speaker, that we take one of those routes. The Honorable Nsereko has already read to you Rule 224, Contempt of Parliament. We have listened, they have said we have refused. The option is either to sanction them. If we are powerless, we get angry, go home, listen to another one, he says, I also refused, and then we go home. Instead of wasting our time here, redoing we had a whole day debate. And now, the Honorable Minister says, no, you didn't have all the information. And then he reads the information that is in the budget framework paper. To him, that is new. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am persuading you to apply our rules. 120 is under which they are bringing these reports. I mean, 220. 224 says we can actually do something. And I want to urge this parliament to do something. Not just to listen and then persuade them casually that you can go back and frame a bit and then return. Then we will never do anything, Mr. Speaker.
Before I respond, just let me allow one of us to provide some information in the law.
Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you. The Honourable Musasizi, my OB, was making reference to the Public Finance Management Act. Honourable Speaker, I think we need to set the record straight. If the reason for not implementing the resolution of Parliament is with the Public Finance Management Act, then we must be very clear about it. Unless, Honourable Speaker, draw the attention of this House to Section 30 of the Public Finance Act, Public Finance Management Act, which is to the effect, for avoidance of doubt, all revenues or other monies raised or received for purposes of government shall be paid into and shall form part of the consolidated fund, except the revenues specified in Section 29. Now, the revenues specified in that section, to my understanding, include revenues from local governments. And right, Honourable Speaker, both the Constitution and the Local Government Act have authorized the local governments to actually collect and use money. Now, what is happening, with due respect to the minister, is that it is government violating the law. There is no legal impediment. And if you were really very honest and were acting in good faith, part of what you should have done in Rule 220, in detailing the action point, would have been a proposal to have an amendment in the law, if you thought there was a challenge. But to say you abide by the law, and yet there is a resolution of this House, right, Honourable Speaker, with due respect, that would be not taking the resolutions of this House with the seriousness. They should have come here to say, we have a legal constraint, but out of respect for the resolution, we want to have this law amended. They are not talking about it. So I wanted to clear the air on matters of the law, so that we don't leave this House believing that the failure, yes, information.
You see, Honourable Speaker, we made the Public Finance Act with the Honourable Musasizi, and he knows it very well. We took protection of the Local Government Act, not to disempower local government. We allowed local government to continue collecting money. Even as we speak today, local government collect money in terms of procurement on behalf of URA. If you are procuring service from URA, from local government, maybe to build a school, you pay tax. That tax goes to the account of local government transmits it to URA. So there is no legal provision. Honourable Speaker, and the information I'm giving you, there is no goodwill in the means of finance to allow local government collect the money and spend. As Honourable Lugolobi said, they think that local government embezzles this money, it increases corruption. The Minister of Finance has allowed this company doing the National Identity Card to collect money in total violation of the Public Finance Act. The Minister of Finance has allowed the Entebbe Express, that company, collecting money in total violation. They collect money, take to private account. There are so many sections to where you have allowed total violation, because all monies, unless authorized by Parliament, is supposed to go to consolidated fund account. Under the Local Government Act, the law allows them to collect money and spend.
Thank you, Honourable. Let's conclude this matter, colleagues.
Therefore, right, Honourable Speaker, for record purposes, our colleagues that side on the front bench,
should give another reason for not implementing the resolution of Parliament, but not hide under the law, because the law is very clear. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Colleagues, we've concluded on this matter. All of you have submitted, and I appreciate, but I had already ruled and guided as per Rule 87 of our Rules of Procedure. So that's very, very clear. You gave very useful information, and I was just watching to see whether they are taking note, because we don't want this to be a contest, so much of a contest. So on Thursday, Minister of Finance come back on this issue after you've consulted the Attorney General, and we ensure we close this issue, and we sort it, because members are dissatisfied with the action taken. And you need them to come on board, and we are still early in the budgeting process. So we can cure this. Okay? Yeah. So Minister, go on the second resolution. On Thursday, I'll put you on order paper to handle this matter. Honourable Minister, next resolution. Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, resolution number 2 was a resolution of Parliament to highlight the decline in ethical and moral values in the country and propose solutions to reversing the destructive decline. And Parliament was urging government to ensure increased budgets to accountability agencies such as judiciary, police, and Inspector General of Government. The response: the budget of the judiciary, Uganda Police Force, and the Inspectorate of Government was enhanced as detailed below. Judiciary: in addition to the enhanced funding of 177.53 billion to the budget of the judiciary in financial year 2021-2022 for recruitment of judicial officers and facilitate them to effectively execute their duties, government provided additional $5 billion for financial year 2022-23 for construction of court buildings. So on top of the 177.53 billion, which we have added another 5, making it about nearly 190 billion shillings. Now, Uganda Police Force, the budget for financial year 2022-23 for Uganda Police Force was enhanced by shillings 62.397 billion as follows: 1.5 billion for Directorate of Crime Intelligence to enhance their capacity to scale up the human intelligence collection capabilities. 2, 23.897 billion for settlement of domestic arrears. 3 billion for renovation of existing barracks. 4, 20 billion to cater for shortfalls in classified operations. 5, 14 billion to cater for operational shortfalls, fuel, food, and maintenance, general maintenance. For the Inspectorate of Government, Mr. Speaker, the budget for financial year 2020-23 for the Inspectorate was enhanced by 26 billion shillings to strengthen transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption interventions. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Colleagues, I've seen some of you moving out. In case you're moving out, please pass by the reception and you pick copies of the revised rules of procedure. You remember we amended the rules. So we have for you copies of the revised rules. And also tomorrow, colleagues, I want to inform you, we shall be debating and concluding a motion from the Committee on Rules and
Your Excellency, you're very welcome. And this deafening hand clap you hear is